What's going on, guys? Well, I've got a new one for y'all today. I've got a deer in the freezer that needs to get made into hamburger. We're running low. So instead of taking it to the processor, I'm gonna do it myself. All right, well, we got the grinder ready. I picked up these tubs earlier today. I've got the vacuum seal bags, picked up some 8-inch rolls. Got the vacuum seal ready, and I got a couple extra tubs and my gloves. So we're gonna leave all this out, leave it all ready today. And I've got this part right here in the freezer, just all the internals, and everything's nice and cold as the meat's going through there to make it easier to grind. But yeah, we got everything laid out. In the morning, we'll wake up and I'm gonna start getting everything ready. I got it, we're back. Early morning, we got most of the meat thawed out. We're gonna start breaking the deer down and section it into smaller pieces we can run through the grinder. And I've got the brisket semi-frozen, and then we're gonna start mixing everything together. Let me get this all in a wrap and we'll start breaking it down. All right, guys, we're down to the hindquarters. We did the 2 front shoulders already, ground them up. On the first shoulder, I did a 4-pound deer to a 1.5-pound brisket ratio. And I cooked the patty, and it was a little dry. So I went ahead and did the second shoulder, ground it up. Only that time I did a 4-pound deer to 2-pound brisket mixing ratio. And I cooked the patty again. And that one gave me just the right grease splatter on the skillet that I like. I liked it like that. So I'm gonna finish the rest of it up. I got 2 hindquarters to do. We're gonna grind that up. I'm gonna do the same thing. 4-pound batch of deer to a 2-pound brisket. And then I'm gonna do like that. And then I'm gonna break all this up. I'm gonna get it all mixed up. And I'm gonna break it up into 1-pound baggies so I can make dinner packs and put them up. So let me break this down and get this going. All this meat's still semi-frozen, so it makes it a little easier to work that silver skin off of it. Since it's still frozen, I just kind of use my boning knife and I shave it off to where I can have as much meat as possible, not any of the silver skin or any of the fat. And it just makes it a little easier to work with. But yeah, I'm gonna just keep chopping at it and make big steaks like this. And cut it long way. You gotta have a good sharp knife for this. See all this silver skin? I'll just get my boning knife and then I just come along the edge and take it all off. Makes it a lot easier when it's still somewhat frozen. Then just cut it in smaller chunks, toss it in there, and the brisket's already, I didn't freeze the brisket all the way. I put it in there for a few hours just to firm it up, and I cut it in chunks last night. And then I'm just pulling the brisket out as I need it to make these batches. And then I just run it all through the grinder and just kind of mix it up by hand in the tub, and then run it through there on the coarse grind again. All of this I've done coarse grind twice. And then I'm gonna, once I get it all done, as I'm doing these batches, the meat that's already ground up twice, I'm putting it back in the freezer and I'm letting it firm up so it doesn't, you don't want it to get hot once you've already ground it up. Because once it gets hot, it starts to get sloppy and it gets all mushy. So once you run it through the grinder and you've already done that batch, put it back in the freezer, let it firm up. And then if you want to do a fine grind, you can run it back to the grinder again on a fine grind, and it makes it a lot easier. It don't get stuck in there and it doesn't get all mushy on you. And also between batches, I'm taking the nozzle off the grinder and I'm setting it in the freezer so it stays cold, because there's a lot of friction in here. So as you're going, it gets hotter and hotter. So I take it off between batches and I put it in the freezer, and then I'll put it back on there as I need it, just to keep it cold, keep the meat cold. It makes it easier to work everything. So let me finish chopping this up and we'll run it through there. All right, guys, we're gonna do the coarse grind. We're doing the first coarse grind on the hind quarter. Got everything cut up, got my brisket. Just kind of rotating it. This piece might be too big. If they're too big, just cut them into smaller pieces. And just kind of alternate, you know, some of the deer with some of the brisket as you're going through it. And then we're going to tumble it around in the end and get it all mixed up anyway. And we'll run it through there a second time. We'll be doing it a total of 3 times once we do the fine grind. So I went ahead and did 2 batches here. I did 8 pounds deer, 4 pounds brisket, just to make it go faster. You can load it all up here, but it's just easier to grab it from the pan and keep going. Some of these pieces I cut a little too big. All right, guys, well, here it is. This is the first coarse grind. It's still nice and cold, so I'm gonna run it through here again real quick, and then I'm gonna take it to the freezer, let it firm up, and then I'll bring it back down, and I'll do a fine grind on it, and then by that time it'll be ready to just bag up into 1 pound dinner packs, and that'll be it. And I got one more hind quarter to do. If you're wanting to do like chili meat, this coarse grind right here is good for chili. You can leave it as is. I'm gonna go ahead and do it all fine just because I want hamburger meat, but you don't have to. You can leave it like this, and you can even leave it like this realistically for burger too. I made a couple of patties earlier on the coarse grind, and it was really just fine. The only problem you're gonna run into is that it may break apart a little easier than if you do the fine grind, but other than that, you'll be fine. All right, we've already coarse grind this one twice. It was the last hind quarter we had. I went and chilled it, brought it back. Now we're just gonna run it through here and do a fine grind. And that'll be it for all of this, guys. All I'm gonna do after this is just bag it up, and I'll probably do pound bags. I'll show y'all in the end how many bags, 1 pound bags I ended up with. All right, we're gonna run the fine grind now. This is the one that I use for the coarse grind. It's the 10 millimeter, and I'm putting the small one on there, which is the 4.5 millimeter. It's got a lot smaller hose. It's got a lot more as well. So we're gonna run that one now. I had it in the freezer so I can keep it cold as well. This is what the fine grind looks like compared to the coarse. This is what's left of the coarse grind, and that's the fine grind. It's a lot smoother. But like I said, if you want to do burgers, you can do this one. If you want it for chili, you can leave the coarse grind. Just run it there twice, and they'll be fine. But that's what I want for burger right there. All right, guys, here's the last batch of the fine grind. So everything's ground, everything's ready. I'm gonna wash all the equipment, put this last tub in the freezer just to let it firm up, and I'm gonna start bagging everything. I'm not gonna put the bagging in the video because I don't want to bore you with all that. But once I am done with all the bagging, I'll show you how many bags I ended up with. All right, guys, here's the vacuum sealer I'm using. Nothing special, just a little small vacuum seal. And there's my scale. Doing 1 pound batches. And so far, I'm up to 20 pounds. All right, guys, we're finished vacuum sealing everything. I got another 20, about 1.5 pound bags. And I had already put 20 1 pound bags in the freezer. So all in all, ended up with 40 packs. I didn't do the rib meat on it after all. It just had too much silver skin on it and stuff. So all I did was 2 shoulders and the 2 hindquarters, and it still gave me over 40 pounds. So not a bad deal. A lot of work, but hey, if it saves you $400 or $500 and worth of processing, I'm gonna do it. But anyhow, we'll make some burgers and I'll make a video on that later. All right, that's it for this one.